And we're back.
We're back.
Okay. Everybody's got it?
Yeah.
Cool. Have you guys been watching Yellowstone?
Yeah.
That's a good show. I just got into it. No, well, Tank, you're missing out. I mean, I had to get a cowboy hat because of that show.
Man, look.
You know, the fifth season just came out, so I've been going back. I had to go back and watch the fourth season again, so that way I kind of forgot a bunch of stuff. So I remember what was going on when I started the fifth one.
Well, no spoiler alerts, but
No,
it's a good show. I'm on season 2. I'm way behind.
Dude, look, I've watched the whole thing. I'm up to date, but I go back to like season 1 and start watching from the beginning. So here I go. I'll say this real quick before we get going. The thing is, I'm conflicted. I'll tell you why. So Yellowstone has been getting some flack or some backlash, saying that it's a very right-leaning show. Oh. And because of that, which it kind of sort of, because John Dutton, but here's the thing though. The thing is, and this is the thing, I guess, that people, you got to really understand the nuances. So whilst John Dutton, him individually, I don't know about the whole family, but him definitely, so he's a Republican guy, just won the governorship and that whole fucking thing. But he's not like a Republican today. He's like a Reagan Republican. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's a difference between the two. So everybody that's trying to let their heads explode about that bullshit, it's like, I get it, but they're way off the mark in the sense that it's not the same thing as what some of the concerns are nowadays. This motherfucker ain't talking about Jewish space lasers and all this kind of weird shit. He's just like an old school right-wing kind of guy. He's an old school conservative, not like a new school conservative foaming at the mouth about shit. He's like,
hey, man.
That John Wayne kind of shit. You know what I mean?
Ronnie talked about Star Wars, man.
Yeah, he did. But see, Star Wars, that's the actual thing. They're like we actually, some of the shit that they were talking about then is like, no, like, man, look, the Star Wars ideology is why we got everybody's got a fucking cell phone now. So his shit was realistic based on some actual facts, whereas the space lasers shooting Jews from the planet Uranus. Come on,
that's some Alex Jones shit there, man.
Yeah, man.
All right. Mm-hmm.
Wait, was Kanye talking about the Jews and space lasers? Because Kanye pissed off the Jews recently.
Kanye has been pissing me off for years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he didn't.
Did I say Kanye?
Pissed off everybody.
Yeah.
Music's on point though.
That dude. Yeah, see, that's the shit.
Music's on point. Music's on point.
Man, ain't that the case? Great fucking music. And when he's just being an artist, oh, that motherfucker's great. It's like they let this fool outside the studio. There's all kinds of problems. Actually, I'll tell you what I really think. Here's my QAnon conspiracy. I think the Kardashians was secretly installed by the KKK to fuck up black people. What they do is they find the most influential black guys they can. That's why they got those big asses. See, they get those big asses and attract like the wealthiest ball players and so on and so forth. They fuck them real good, and then next thing you know, their ass go crazy.
That's why it didn't work on Pete Davidson.
Yeah,
exactly. Davidson, he tried it, but he was like, no.
Well, see, Davidson's got a 10, but see, they thought he was wrong, right? Oh shit, they made a bad decision. Look at Lamar Odom. He turned into a full-blown crackhead, and God knows what. They turned Bruce Jenner into a woman.
God damn it!
Yeah, that was the Wheaties, man.
Yeah, I think they did something.
If Kanye goes trans, we know there might be something to that theory.
I'm telling you, man.
What the fuck are we talking about here?
I don't know.
Yellowstone. We're talking about Yellowstone.
Yeah.
Hey, no, we're not.
Right. Yeah.
Do you think Yellowstone?
It.
Do you think Yellowstone will do the same thing Sons of Anarchy did to bikers, where it was like, oh shit, all the bikers are shooting people? Do you think Yellowstone's going to do that to cattle ranchers? Like cattle ranchers now have a bad fucking rap.
You know what? That's a great question, because so here's the thing.
No, it's not.
That's kind of what went down. If you're watching it, that's kind of what's going down.
Okay, I'll watch.
Yeah, you got to check that shit out. It's a good ass show. But cattle ranchers are different now. It's like what cattle ranchers used to be, what they are now, two different things. These are some wealthy motherfuckers, and it's not that they don't get out there and do their thing. They do, but the industry and everything else about it has changed. Like years ago in the 80s, there was this guy, because I don't know if you knew this, but they didn't have for centuries, there were no cows in Japan. And so they were getting all of their beef from other countries, United States being one of them. And us being savvy, sort of like the Japanese, we didn't sell American ranches to anybody other than Americans. It's been a practice, and it still is kind of that practice now. Well, this one motherfucker, Toranada, became the damn cattle king of Japan because what he did, he used a shell company in the 80s, or in late 70s, early 80s, bought up a bunch of stock in a publicly traded cattle farm, bought it. Then once he owned it through this so-called American shell company, all the cows, all this cattle belonged to him, especially, most importantly, the bulls that breed more cows, right? Learned how all this shit worked. Then he literally, and this is an expensive undertaking, the guy was already had a lot of money, loaded up every fucking cow that there was, shipped them to Japan. Like we have this thing called Kobe beef. You heard of Kobe beef?
Oh yeah.
The motherfucker took these cows, took them to Kobe, and it became a thing. So now that's it. And the price of beef, and it has always been expensive in Japan, but now it went through the fucking roof. But here's what I'm paying for. We pay higher for fucking beef from Japan, even though it actually started here in the first place. This motherfucker was a marketing genius. But so he had the first real cattle ranch in Japan, and so now that's an industry in Japan, but he started it and he's a billionaire now. But,
Most of the beef that we get here that they call Kobe is Wagyu. But traditional Kobe can't be exported out of Japan.
Okay, gotcha.
The true stuff. That shit's like super expensive.
Yep. And it's crazy to me that so like in Japan. And I remember back then the arguments was, oh, well, why won't we let somebody else buy an American ranch? So what? Personally, I'm like, fuck y'all. It's American ranch. The shit ought to stay here by somebody who's from here, da, 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 da. That was, my feeling. I still feel that way. Because guess what? In Japan, you can't, if you're an American, you cannot own property in Japan. My nephew, he just got back in June. He was over there like 20 plus years. His wife's Japanese, which is the little caveat that allowed him to be able to buy property in Japan if he wanted to. But the problem is, even because he's an American, with the fees, the taxes, the levies, and everything else, an American who has a Japanese spouse, it's going to cost you 3 and 4 times as much for the same fucking house that a Japanese person could buy, because they don't want you to. If you're in business, you have to have some Japanese associate. Like if you live in Japan and all like that, you want to open a mom and pop shop, can't do it. Not without a whole lot of concessions.
Well, Bone, they're probably still a little salty about that whole atomic bomb thing,
Motherfuckers are so sensitive. Damn, they're so sensitive.
I know. Turn 2 of their cities into a glass parking lot. Geez, little bugaboo or something.
Nobody can take a joke anymore. Damn.
Well, they did give us squid porn. Hey, so here we are with Big Bone 1%er and Archbishop 1%er. How are you guys doing?
Doing good, man. Doing good.
Good.
Yeah, it's going pretty good, man. Can't complain too much.
Well, we've had Big Bone 1%er on before, but we never talked to Archbishop 1%er. So, Arch, what's going on, man? What's your deal?
Well, let's see. For the most part, I'm just traveling around. For the most part, we've been out here doing this MC thing for about 22 years now.
Wow.
So just been out and about. Like I said, what we doing now, like on the Big Boneyard, just basically just spreading a lot of the experience and the knowledge and stuff that we went through all these years, just basically just putting it out for everybody.
Right on.
this MC scene now is like it's like a dying breed now, if you think about it. You know, a lot of the customs and traditions and stuff like that are just kind of going along to the wayside. So a lot of the stuff that we talk about now is bringing back, you know, the protocol, the customs, the traditions that we came in at, to be able to kind of revitalize the MC scene.
Now, Big Bone, you got that new podcast / YouTube channel, The Boneyard. Is Arch on there with you?
The Big Boneyard, and Archbishop is the co-hostess with the motherfucking with the doggone mostest. I don't know.
Fucking swear.
You can
Go
swear,
ahead.
yeah.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. So, with the motherfucking mostest. It feels good. Feels good. I'm looking to get that off my chest. But yeah, man, it's actually it's going really great. And you know, like Archbishop was just saying, you know, our the goal of the Big Boneyard was to address some of the, because you know there's some other YouTube channels and stuff out there where people are just saying all kinds of ridiculous shit, and they're just painting the wrong picture about what MC culture is, and then some folks is just literally pulling stuff straight out of their ass. There's a cop that's out there who actually hates bikers, but yet he's on promotes a biker channel. Then there's this other guy who, an older fella named Squiggly or something like that. And I've listened to him a few times, and he never has anything good to say about MCs or and certainly 1% is always something negative, but then he always wraps up with, but if you're thinking about joining, here's the stuff you ought to know, as he continues to just kind of slander, or from what I've seen, just slander what this thing really is. So our answer for that was, as opposed to, you know, calling these guys out and starting a e-gangster freaking online Twitter war, whatever the hell they call it, is just, you know what, let's just put out the real dope, the real info. Here's what protocol says, here's what tradition is, here's what we do. And you know, like, because we look at bikers like, man, this is the last vestige of Americanism that you're going to find pretty consistently is amongst real bikers, because we believe in what we believe in. It's not so much that we're out breaking the law, it's that we have laws that we believe in, that we follow. And, you know, and hey, it's not that we don't believe in the law, we're a bunch of lawless individuals, nothing like that. It's just that, you know, we believe in what we believe in. And as long as your thing don't interfere with our thing, we ain't gonna have a thing. You know, everything's fine. But just because something is a law or is a practice of the law doesn't mean that it's right. Because shit, slavery was legal for a long time. Didn't make it right. You know, there's a whole lot of stuff. You could bust your wife in the face on Thursday because she didn't have the soup hot at 6 p.m. and that was legal.
Oh yeah, I mean, fucking 100 years ago, you could marry your neighbor's 12-year-old daughter.
Yeah, but I guess my whole point about all of that is that maybe she should have the soup on time and hot, is what I'm saying.
Well, that's and make me a damn sandwich while I'm waiting.
Now, you guys, you talked about how people dog 1%ers, right?
Yeah.
I saw something on Instagram. You guys recently just did something for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
You want to talk about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically what we did, this is actually something that we had been doing for a while, and then we bought it down here. One of our brothers, Frank White, he's been passionate about this for the past 2 years, that he wanted to put together something that we were able to go out and help the homeless a couple of times throughout the year. And last year we did Thanksgiving, did a couple other little things throughout the year, but this Thanksgiving we got together and got all the meals put together. People donated all kinds of food. I mean, you name it, we had it. And me and Big Bone and Frank White, along with a couple other people, we went out and we hit every spot that we could think of, that, you know, from Tent City to, you know, people just sitting on the curb, and we passed out meals all day. I think we passed out almost 300 meals on Friday.
Yeah, that's righteous, man.
I'll tell you. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think a lot of like the first place that we went to, I think they were kind of kind of amazed as to who it was that was bringing this stuff there. We was trying to explain to them, like, you know, don't take the stereotype as this is what we really are. You know what I mean? There's a lot of good that can happen from anywhere. But you know, throughout the years though, people always, you know, you watching Mayans and Son of Anarchy and all that stuff, you automatically get this stereotypical idea in your head that this is what we do. We just rape, pillage, and plunder. It's not really what we do. There's a lot of good stuff that we do for the community. So this, you know, this wasn't nothing that was publicized or televised or whatever. This is just something that we did because we had it in our heart to do.
You know,
Who flipped the bill for that?
well, I'm going to jump in there. I'm glad you said that because we got that question a couple of days ago, which was, for the most part, it was a few private donations, but it was pretty much just a lot of us reaching in our pockets saying, we can do this, we can, like, I got this much. And we reached out to a couple of friends of the club, and everybody went and got something. And if they didn't have something to bring, they brought their hands to help us do this work. And, you know, this was, I think, one of the first times that this effort got as much attention as it did. But we've actually, we've been doing, and I know Archbishop forgot about it because we do it all the time, but for like the past 5 years, we've been doing this thing. We've called it Unity in the Community. And what that is, we do that. Nowadays, folks know about Juneteenth. And they say, well, Juneteenth, what's that? Well, that's when the last slaves found out that they were freed from the Emancipation Proclamation and all this stuff. And the thing is, that was really more of a Texas thing, because Texas was the last slave outpost, if you will. But on the way to Texas, they had to stop through Florida first, because, you know, there was no Facebook or Instagram and stuff back then. So it took them a minute to get the word. But so in Florida, the date is actually not in June. It's May the 22nd. So in Florida, like the old folks call it Emancipation Day or Freedom Day and stuff like that. So every year we would celebrate that by doing, you know, we'd have face painting for the kids and the same sort of thing. We're feeding homeless folks. And like this year, we're trying to also make sure we're doing a what's being called a clothing ministry, or at least that's what our chaplain is calling it, where we're trying to get some clothes. Because even though it's Florida, it gets kind of inclement down here. So we're trying to get some ponchos and poncho liners and tents and all this kind of stuff. And there's a number of folks that are just kind of coming out the woodwork to help us. And we've been contacted just since Friday with some folks that are saying they want to help out. And we're pretty excited about it. Andrew Mora from Morimoto chain of motorcycles. He owns a chain of motorcycle dealerships here. Of course, Fran Hash, the attorney, wearing her shirt. But you know, but it's what bikers do. We just don't always get. You know, we're not doing this stuff so that we can get on the Channel 6 News or something like that. We're doing it because, like we always say, take care of the community will take care of you. But that's the way the bikers are. That's nothing new for us. It's just new because folks heard about it. But I'm glad that they did, though.
People would actually shit themselves if they realized how much money and time bikers give to the causes that they feel strong about.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There was I know, like I said, like I told y'all before, I just moved to Florida a couple of years ago. But back in Ohio, we would do the same thing, but we would also have during that day, like not only were we feeding them, so as they showed up, you know, I mean, we had a hot meal for them, but we also had different rooms. In each room, there was something different that we was giving out. So
Yeah,
one room you had we was giving out, you know, hygiene products, stuff like that. You go in the next room, you can get clothes, coats, hats, shoes, whatever we had in there, socks, whatever. Another room you go to, you could get produce, get milk, baby diapers, whatever you needed. So we was kind of thinking of a wide range of stuff that we could do, and a lot of the businesses and stuff when we went to them jumped on board with it, and they donated all this stuff, and then everything that we had left over, we took it and gave it to, you know, the soup kitchens and Job and Family Services to give, like if they had people that they knew, families that they knew that needed this stuff, they could get this stuff taken to them. So but this has been going on for years. You know what I mean? It's just been, you have a couple people here and there that kind of get together and kind of collab and get stuff going.
You know, I'll tell you, there's the evil underbelly to this. Now, I call it that, and I want to call it that. As much as we're blessed with folks that when they find out, or if we reach out, there's a good number of folks who are quick to say, sure, what can I do to help? Flip side of the coin is there's folks that in businesses who actively don't appreciate bikers, what bikers do or any of that, or they want to pick and choose which bikers they like this week versus the ones that they don't. We do, myself and Archbishop are in the COC here for the middle part of Florida here. I'm the chairman, and Doggone Archbishop is the Sergeant Arms. And we have a monthly bike night that we do. It's always the first Thursday of every month. And there's a place in town, it's actually in Gibsonton, Florida, and it's called River's Edge. And they River's Edge Bar and Grill. And they wanted to be kind of edgy. That's the name, River's Edge. They wanted to create this edgy sort of a feel. And I guess the wife to the owner was saying, hey, it would be great if you guys come down. I had a conversation with her. Hell yeah, come on down. That'll be cool. But right up until the owners found out either, I don't know whether they're pissed off about us having good tans or they just don't like the diamonds that we wear. But either or, we were disinvited. After we were invited, we were disinvited. What was it, a day or two ago? So, hey, don't bother coming through. So tell anybody that you said to come out, tell them not to come out. We don't want you. And they know full well. And I said, well, maybe there's a misunderstanding. So I sent them some information about the good stuff we do for the community. As of the airing of this broadcast, they don't give a fuck. They don't want us. And it's surprising that attitude, that mentality, and that posture is still out there in this 2022, man.
Especially from Gibsonton. I mean, it's a place that was like founded by circus freaks who were ostracized by people, man.
Yeah. You know your history, because that's where Barnum and Bailey and all those folks, that's where they lived when they weren't on the road doing circus stuff. And then as they retired, that's where they are. Like you go through that town, like the little small woman and the tall guy and the woman with the hair on her face and all those folks, that's where they retired to this day. But this place is, and I don't take it lightly to call somebody out, but when they have that level of disrespect, it makes you wonder. I would encourage anybody to avoid that place. Don't spend your money with places that don't support your lifestyle. But they're in Gibsonton, Florida, at 6226 Ohio Avenue. The place is called the River's Edge Bar and Grill, and they don't like you, and that's okay, because we don't need to like them back.
Well, I mean, they got Gibbstown, like the big, it's in February, a big biker event,
Yeah, the Gibtown Bike Fest.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, here's the crazy shit. I've actually been to that place before while the Gibtown Bike Fest was going on. We use it as a rallying point. We get together, they got a big old parking lot. We'll meet there, have a few beers. Everything is fine during that 3 days or whatever. Everything's fine. But I guess if it's not during the Bike Fest, they don't want to see you. So, it's unfortunate. I hate it when we run across this stuff, but we're going to make sure on the COC's website, we have a WFLCOC .org. It might be .com, but WFLCOC, and then there's a Facebook page which is also WFLCOC. But we're going to make sure we put that, and again, this is hot off the presses, but we're going to make sure that we let folks know there's a section there that tells folks, hey, here's places that support us and here's places that don't want to see us, and we make it our business. And folks look at that, fortunately. So when they're coming through town and they want an idea of a good place to go, they take a look, but they also can find out where not to go. So that's one of those kind of things.
Well, it's been said a couple times now that you guys are down there in Florida. Just curious, how'd you guys fare through the recent hurricane that blew through there?
Mm.
Actually, it wasn't. I think Bone didn't really get much. It came more. It came more my way. You know, we got the the wind and the rain. You know, knocked down a couple trees and whatever. But we made it through pretty well here. But we got a couple bros that live down in Fort Myers who took a pretty massive blow down there. So they were sending videos and pictures and stuff of them driving through, and it's water almost up to the window as they trying to drive through to get out of different places. So and just showing the pictures, it was like a train wreck down there. So luckily up on this side, I mean, we took a little damage here and there, but nothing too bad. But like I said, those bros down in was it southwest Florida?
Yeah.
They took a beat.
I'll tell you now, I take offense to that because I'll tell you the screen around my swimming pool in the Lanai area was damaged slightly, and I mean FEMA won't do shit for me. They don't seem to care. No, I'm just playing. No, man. But up here, like Archbishop said, I'm blessed. I fared well. Didn't lose power. Didn't have no water issues. No flooding. The cable didn't even go out. But for some of those brothers, like you said, in the Southeast, down in Fort Myers, if you look at some of the pictures and videos from that stuff, it looks like something from a Mad Max movie or something. It's going to take them years to recover from the damage that took place. They lost a few lives, and but I guess the thing I'm babbling about is that work is still being done. There's still folks going down there every day. Like Fran Hash, she's got trucks going back and forth. That's the lawyer. She's got trucks going back and forth, bringing supplies, food, water, all kinds of miscellaneous things that folks are in need of. And then I want to say a heartfelt thank you to our brothers who have took a lot of time out of their lives to go into, because they have those places where FEMA is set up, but then there's a lot of folks who, because of flooding and other things, because no gas stations were available and all this, that there were folks that were stuck in neighborhoods and little towns and stuff around the area that nobody could get to. So these guys got in their trucks and so forth and found a way to get to those folks that needed some help, that were just stranded, couldn't get to help, and help couldn't get to them, and our brothers made a way. So we just really, again, that's some of the stuff that they don't talk about, but they don't do it so that folks can talk about it. But I feel like, the true narrative is something different than what they talk about on Sons or on Mayans and stuff.
They've already established that Yellowstone has already said that cattle ranchers are the real bad guys out there,
That's right. That's right. It's their fault.
I'll tell you, Rip is the man.
Oh, yeah. But I wouldn't fuck with Beth. I'll tell you that right now. Beth don't
Rip's the
give a
best
fuck.
character on that show.
Yeah, she is.
Because I like crazy chicks, so Beth is I'm all about that. And I can say that, but then I can get shot at. It's still like a whole thing.
That's our problem. We love bad bitches.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. I get a few gunfire incidents every year, but I'm really fast and I learn to zig and zag, so that's part of the deal.
Mm-hmm. You know what? When we was talking about the hurricane, I'm gonna bring this up too. There was a club, if I'm not mistaken, it was Rough Riders. They all organized up in Orlando, all the different chapters organized, and they went down to Fort Myers. And not only did they give out food and stuff to whoever needed it, but they gave away 300 gallons of gas to whoever needed it. Like they wasn't filling up your cars, but if you bought cans and stuff, whatever they were giving you, they were filling up them cans to get you gas. 300 gallons of gas. They ain't charging a dime.
Man, that's serious. That's a serious thing, because that's one of those things that folks you don't really think about. In Florida, we're very aware of what happens during hurricanes, unfortunately. But one of the things that folks outside of here might not be aware of is that, hey, when gas stations shut down because there's no power, they can't pump any gas, and even if or they're not manned, nobody's there. long story short, gas. You need fuel, you need food, you need shelter. The most basic things that we kind of take for granted and forget about becomes a really big deal all of a sudden when you don't have it. And so like I was saying earlier, the idea of getting from one of those places, even if you did have a vehicle, do you have gas to get there or get back? We were up here, one of our brothers, Big Baby, we were trying to communicate. So once he got a phone, cell phones, because cell phone towers get damaged, you can't talk to nobody. But once he got some communication, he talked to us, and I remember I said to him, like, hey, what do you need? Let me load up the truck. I'm going to come on down there. He says, don't do it. You won't be able to get back. I'm like, say what now? I'm like, yeah, sure.
No
I can.
stations open. Yeah.
Yeah. He goes, you won't be able to get back. I'm like, shit. Because, Fort Myers is a couple of 3 hours from where we are. And, but yeah, it's like the idea of not, it's crazy. But that's a good point. I'll tell you this: there's one club called there's the I'm going to say like you don't know Mongols. There's a Mongol chapter. It's a couple of them actually. They actually have some guys that are divers. This sounds crazy, but what they did was they put together their own little ERT, emergency response team, and it consisted of divers and people, military guys and like this. And they went to some of the craziest areas with the intention of retrieving people whose houses were flooded. Because you might wonder, why do you need a diver because of a hurricane? Well, if you've seen what it does, how it will flood a whole neighborhood sometimes, some folks, especially if you're in one of those low-lying areas, they might have to get in the scuba gear and go underwater to go and retrieve you or your stuff or doing whatever important work is done. But and I could go down the list of different motorcycle clubs who stopped what they were doing and said, hey, take care of the community. Community is going to take care of you. And that's not a plug for one club versus another club or any of that. This is, good Americans, good bikers doing what we do. Because like I said earlier, the last vestige of Americanism you're going to find in the motorcycle club community, because we're all about the freedom and taking care of ourselves and being self-reliant, self-sufficient, and
Well, I know for a fact that there were clubs that normally don't get along that were standing side by side helping people out down there.
Yeah. You kind of check your bullshit for a minute, because some folks need you. So it's not about that right now. Let's help some folks that don't have nothing to do with this MC shit. They don't got nothing to do with it. It's just a neighbor, like I was up here on my end. There's, I mentioned this before, but I have this one certain neighbor who is about 8,000 years old, mean as all hell. And, hurricanes coming. We don't know where it's going to hit or anything. So I'm out there getting sandbags and doing all this other stuff the whole while. Where myself and one of my other neighbors, we're doing sandbags for her, and this old lady is cussing us up one side and down the other. Like, not there, you black bastard. Put it over there, son of a bitch. She's an old mean lady, but guess what? Her house is fortified like a son of a bitch until the end of hurricane season, when she'll be cussing somebody else out. Then get all this bullshit off my property. Who do you think you are, you son of a bitch? But guess what? You do it because that's what we do. It's what I was saying one time before me and Arch were talking on the show. Chances are that dirty, sketchy looking guy on the Harley that lives down the street from you with them funny looking things on the back of his jacket, like they call it, them patches, might be somebody good to know. That's probably your best friend that you didn't know that you had, because guess what? When things go down, that's somebody you can count on. Think about it this way. The Mad Max movie, or every movie where it's like an apocalyptic, it's the end of the world type shit. Who do you see running shit? Bikers. Who's actually living pretty good? Bikers. Think about it. Just saying, just putting it out there.
It's true.
The end of the world's going to be cockroaches and bikers. That's how it's going to be. And styrofoam.
And Keith Richards.
Bikers and styrofoam. and Keith Richards. Right. That's who's going to be running the world. Yeah. That's it. But hey, but you know what? I think the subject of what we was the original subject we was talking about, I thought was a pretty good one. The idea of what happens when somebody's out of the club. You know, if he's out good, is he still your brother? That because that one had me scratching my head a little bit, and there's so many variables to that. But what when y'all was talking about that, Dirty, what was like what were you thinking about? Like what do you think? Like,
Well,
or is he out?
for me, I mean, obviously, if you're in a motorcycle club, you've had guys leave. You know, it's just part of the deal. And it all depends on why they left. I mean, we've had guys leave because, you know, they got jammed up with the missus. You know, they got families and they went a little too hard in the paint, did a few things they got caught doing, and they got given that ultimatum. You know, it's me or the club. And sometimes guys choose the old lady and the kids. And it's hard to fault them on that because it's like, well, you didn't make a commitment to her and you got kids and you got to be a man and take care of them. At the same time, you made a commitment to us and now you're telling us that you can't be part of us anymore. I mean, I get it, but you know, it's like, you know, you don't want to like shun him completely because you know that's going to be a hard decision he had to make. And if he was a good guy before, then chances are he's just trying to be a good guy now. So you kind of you let them come by every once in a while when they want to stop by a party or something like that. And it's like, okay, hi, great. And if they want to come back, there's usually a pathway, you know, that we have where it's like, all right, well, you know, you're going to have to go through some shit again, but there is a pathway back. Now, if a guy leaves a club to go join another club because say, and like in our world, you know, like we're not a 1% club. Let's say a guy leaves our club and goes to the next level. You kind of got to respect the fact that he wants to enrich in his MC experience. Now, if he leaves on good terms, he doesn't badmouth us, he doesn't talk shit, he treats us with respect still, the whole shebang. I don't have a problem with that. In fact, I have good friends, or I have, you know, guys that left. We're still cool today. In fact, we built a bridge with another club. So now we all party together and it's kind of a good thing. Now, if a guy leaves because he doesn't like us and he's just like, fuck you guys, well then fuck him.
Right.
You know what I mean? He might not be out bad, but we don't want to fuck with that dude anymore. You know what I mean?
Well, you do know, or maybe you don't, but Jax Teller is my first cousin on my uncle's barber side. Okay. And he was telling me just the other day, because you know he faked his own death, sort of like Tupac and Elvis did, because you know he's still alive. He works at 7-Eleven in Waimama, Florida. He works at 7-Eleven. That's where Jax Teller is, and okay. He's on a Jap bike now.
I've been to Waimama. There ain't nothing there, man.
Yeah, that's why he's there, because you know nobody can find him. But Jax Teller was telling me the other day the reason that he faked his death is because the way that they do, because they're a pretend 1% club. And I'm very proud of that fact. But he said he had to fake his own death because for him to leave the club, they had to, you know, it would be required of his brothers to murder him because he left the club. So is that a thing? Or like, can you just leave the club?
Yes.
I mean, without being murdered. Without being murdered.
No. I have never heard of anybody getting murdered because they wanted to leave a motorcycle club.
Okay.
I mean, why would you? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm saying that shit, but no, I've heard all kinds of crazy shit, and so I joke about it. But you know, a club, and you know, and different clubs have different standards and different rules about exiting and so forth. I'm just saying, me personally, if and ironically enough, for where I am now, I don't hear about that a lot. But in my old club, we had guys who were put out bad. And yet other guys, like you said, who a couple of guys, because of military commitments, had to leave the club. Had a couple of guys who relocated because of work or family to an area that was in excess. In my old club is, if you're farther than 500 miles from the closest chapter, you got to lay them rags down. Unless, of course, there's the effort of starting a new chapter, and even then there was a whole bunch of rules about it. But my thing is, hey, if you were out bad, or as you were, if you were out good, and because of whatever, no big deal. So yeah, I'm not talking shop with him. I'm not talking club business, but if we're having a beer, or like you said, if he just happens to be coming through the area, wants to stop over and have a beer or watch the game or whatever, hey, no problem. We just ain't talking shop. That I feel like that's one of the biggest things. If you're out of the club, then you're out of the secret circle. You know what I mean? There's no more secret handshake, and we ain't talking about what we did in the clubhouse last weekend or what we talked about in church. That's none of your business no more. But hey, are you still okay, guy? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean, we've had a guy, he was a good member, hell of a brother, and his parents lived 400 miles away, nowhere near us, and they're getting old. His dad's got cancer. He's got to go up there. He's got to take care of him. I mean, yeah, obviously he's more than welcome to stop by and party whenever he wants, and we got respect for him and the whole shebang. But he's not involved in meetings. He doesn't know exactly what's going on, if anything, not
right.
anything illegal, but I'm just saying, like, he doesn't know all the ins and outs. But yeah, obviously we show him respect. I think the number one thing I personally look out for when it comes to members of clubs is those guys that do lateral moves. You know what I mean? They leave one club, they go to this club, they go to that club. Next thing you know, they're knocking on your door, and you're like, you know what, dude? I don't think so.
Not club hoppers. We call them club hoppers, and yeah, that's something. I'm saying just on a me thing. That's a huge, gigantic red flag for me. There's a guy named Big Cell, who's in Georgia. Yeah. Big Cell. What's that thing they always say? Full disclosure. Full disclosure. I'm not a big fan of his, and I don't imagine he loves me too good either. But Big Cell had been with in 5 years, 6 different clubs, and not a. Let's just say he didn't have a successful MC experience in any of those 6 times, and yet he is some sort of an MC authority, which cracks me up. But the thing is, so a guy like him, I don't know how you could get with 6 different clubs, but my thought is, after like 3 clubs in 3 years, it's gonna make me listen. If you were a hang around or a prospect, that's what that's for. You're spending time to find out, is this a good fit for me, and am I a good fit? Do they feel like I'm a good fit for them? You're feeling each other out. That's what it's for. A prospect can drop his rags at any time and go on down the road. Handle your business. Or as you were, I won't even say a prospect. I'll say a hang around. And in some cases, as a prospect, right? Sometimes there's you prospecting for so and so. Didn't work out. You got to wait a year before it used to be the rule. You had to wait a year, or if you were a patch member of a club, you had to wait a year before you petitioned or before you started talking about going to a new club. That was just the way it was done. But if you're doing that all the time, then come on now. There's got to be a problem. Maybe the club ain't the problem. Maybe you're the problem.
Well, I was going to say, man, if you've been divorced 9 times, maybe it's you.
Yeah.
Right. You the problem.
Yeah.
But one of the things that you just mentioned a little bit ago when you was talking about people leaving the club and they're saying that they left because of their the old lady saying something or whatever, and they decided that was more important and they had to go on about their business. That happens. It happens. I think one of the biggest things that people that come into these clubs need to realize, and we say it a lot, but don't really get into the whole brass tacks of it. When we say, know what you signed up for. So when you join these clubs, you got 2 different type of people that's in these clubs. You got the hobbyists that want to just ride every now and again. They go to parties, and then you have the actual quote bikers. You know what I mean? Now, out of the 22 years that I've been out here, can I say that I was not with? I've lost girlfriends, whatever. Dealing with this MC shit. That ain't no lie. And then it was like you meet people and they know what you do before they even decided to get involved with you. They know what you do. And then once they become a part of that, then they were like, well, you gotta choose. It's either me or them, you know. And I've always been that one was like, you know, don't never ask me that question because you're not gonna like my answer.
Right.
Never put me in a situation where I gotta choose. You know what I mean? I've been doing both sides for many years and I'm pretty good at it. You know what I mean? Let me do it how I do it. That's not for you. My bike shit and my personal life is two totally different things, not to be intertwined as one. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of people when they join these clubs, it's like they join them not really realizing what all that's entailed of them to do. And then they use excuses to get out of, you know. But I know several people that's used to be in the club with me that's no longer in the club. Am I still cool with them? Yeah. I mean, we have conversations. We talk when I see them. I'm not going to disclose club business. I'm not going to be on them like, oh man, you know, since you've been gone, this is what you missed. I don't need to catch you up on none of that. We just, you know, if we were friends before, we're gonna always be friends because that bond that you make with people goes beyond the club thing. You know, if you me not being in the club no more, then damn, you would know my friend from the beginning. You know, so like I said, I still have a lot of deep ties with a lot of people that's no longer in the club for whatever reason that they were in. But my biggest thing is that whatever the situation is, don't use an excuse to be your out. You know what I mean? If you can't handle the heat that's going on here, be man enough to say that that's what it is. You know what I mean? Don't put your old lady involved. Don't put because your kids got bike practice and dance recitals and you just got time because you had time when you first came in here. You know what I mean? So that's something that you gotta, you know, that's some stuff that you needed to think about prior to you coming here is do you have the time to deal with this? Because this is another part of your life, you know, that you're gonna have to deal with. It's, you know, you can be Steve Monday through Friday, but you know, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you watch try, you know, or whatever. So you know what I mean? You gotta be able to put both of them into some kind of perspective, you know, and I think a lot of them when they get into these clubs, they get into these clubs simply because of the whole fascination of being a biker, but not really understand what it takes to be a biker. You know what I mean? Not really understanding you know, that this is an actual, for some people, this is actually a life ordeal. This is what we gonna do. This is how we gonna be to the day we die. We gonna be bikers. We're gonna be 1%ers. We're gonna be in a 99 club, or whatever club that you in. But this is you, and can't nobody change that but you. You know what I mean? And I feel that if you so quick to jump and skip clubs and all that other stuff, then you're not really grasping the concept or even know the traditions and the customs that we even do for you to be bouncing the way you be bouncing. You know what I mean? Like Bo was just talking about somebody that was in so many clubs and so many years. You in 7 clubs in 5 years, but you're a motorcycle authority. Authority on what? On how to skip? You know what I mean? You personally can't tell me shit. You know what I mean? What is it you can tell me? Okay, how to hightail it out of this club whenever shit get hot. Okay, I'm gonna leave here and I'm gonna duck and then I'm gonna wait 30 days and I'm gonna join this club over here. You know, what can you possibly tell me? And the people that's actually listening to this bullshit, you know what I mean, should have their head examined because they know. How could you know? But like I said though, a lot of people listen but don't actually know the background of who it is they're listening to. You see what I'm saying? Because this stuff doesn't get put out. It only gets put out when you have people that actually know who these people are. To be like, man, why you listen to this bum? You know what I mean? He's been to 7 clubs in 5 years. He don't know shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He wasn't around long enough to learn nothing. Other than, like you said, he know how to skip. He's very good about that. Well,
You know, some people are just good with the gift of gab, but don't have no substance behind what it is that they're saying. So it makes everything that you're talking about bullshit.
I'll tell you the thing that comes across my head all the time when it comes to these club hoppers is who the fuck keeps letting them join the next club? Because remember, like once upon a time, the deal is, and I know at least in I've only been in 2 clubs. Well, no, well, 3. I've been in 3 clubs. My club now, the support club, and the original club I was in years ago. And in every circumstance, when someone wanted to join your club, there was a vetting process. Like, where'd you come from? Who's the last club? Were you in the military? What clubs have you been associated with? Have you ever prospected for a club? You know, you've been in jail before. If not, why not? Well, what's the matter with you? You know, what are you special? No, but for real, there's a vetting process, and a big part of that vetting process was once you identified, and also who do you know? You know, like so. And there was a background check, right? And part of that background check was to find out who the hell you were and who you were associated with. And if it came up that you had them 5, 6, 7 friggin' clubs in X number of years, the question's going to be, well, what the hell was going on there? And even if the club was somebody you didn't love, there was going to be a conversation one way or the other. Somebody was going to co-sign your shit one way or the other. Either, yeah, you know, it was like this, or here's what happened. Because, you know, after honestly, in my case, after like the 3rd, 4th club in a short period of time, I'm going to say to myself, wait a minute, why is that? You know, like you said a minute ago, Archbishop, hey, after that much time, it ain't necessarily the club no more. It's probably you. You know, but who keeps letting these motherfuckers into these clubs? It's a head scratcher to me, that one.
Well, so in our little neck of the woods, there are a handful of clubs, and they're, you know, non-1%er, sort of, you know, just traditional mom and pop, whatever you want to call it. It's just non-1%er, 3-piece patch MCs.
Yeah.
And there are a handful of guys that you'll watch them. They go from club to club to club. And every once in a while, one will come our way. And whenever one of them comes our way, the first thing I say, well, you know what, man? I know you. I've known you for a while. You're a cool guy. Here's what I would recommend. Talk to me in a year. Take a year off, man. Get the taste of MC out of your mouth. Fucking do you for a year. I'm not saying you can't hang around. I'm saying I don't even want to fucking talk to you about joining for at least 1 year. If you come back to me in 1 year and say, hey, you know, your club's a club for me, yada, yada, yada. All right, cool. But if you leave your club on Monday and come to me on fucking Saturday, I'm gonna be like, dude, come on. And I've watched guys do it. I watched a guy leave one club, join another club, and go back to his other club, and then come to my club and start talking to me behind his other club's back. I'm like, dude, I don't watch it.
Right.
Yeah, I remember him. He contacted us via messenger that he was going to come our way. Remember that?
Yeah. I'm like, no, it's just no.
Hard.
Yeah, he's just cutting out the middleman, right? Messenger. Yeah. That's some. That's some of that 2020 shit. 2022, whatever year it is.
And then I wonder what the fuck goes through these people's minds. Do you think I'm just waiting for you to fucking ask me to join, and I've got your fucking patches already ready to go? Like, oh, awesome, dude. Here you go. Get them sewn on tomorrow. You're in.
Yeah.
No,
I was in a club before, so I don't have to prospect yours to come in. The fuck you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of them do that. A lot of them do that these days. Like they sit around and they search to see what club that they can get into without having a prospect. You know, and one of the big things like that I say all the time is that you don't put value into something that you did not earn. So if I'm just giving you a set of patches and say, here, man, put these on, you in. You know what I mean? You don't got no value in that. And that's why they're so easy. That's why it's so easy for them to give them up. You know what I mean? Because they didn't have to work for it. They didn't have to be a hang around. They didn't have to be a probie. They didn't have to do all the hazing and the crap that was associated with it. They didn't have to do none of that. You just gave them something, and Like you gave it to them in hopes that they would act right, or they would be right, or they would be the person that they told you that they were, instead of actually prospecting them and you can see for yourself what this man is made of. You know, so I think a lot of these guys, they look for the easy way out. And then when it's, you know, when they get rubbed the wrong way or they in their feelings, which of course what me and Bone say all the time, I mean, fuck your feelings, but that's what they do. They get in their feelings and then they ready to leave. And then they go to this club over here because they think that this club is bigger and better. But guess what? You won't still deal with the same bullshit. And you're going to keep dealing with the same bullshit because you came in the wrong way from the beginning. You didn't learn nothing from the beginning. You know what I mean? So the only thing that you're doing is taking your nonsense that you was giving out to these people over here. You're going to this club and you issuing out the same drama filled bullshit to another damn club. You know what I mean? Instead of doing it the right way. You know, I think any club that just gives somebody patches just for the simple fact of having numbers, that's the biggest mistake that you can make. You know, I'd rather have 5, 6 people that I knew hands down was going to be straight up 100 than have 15 people in my side and have 5 straight up and 10 fuck boys. We don't need them. You know what I mean? That's where that whole vetting process goes in. That's where the whole actual prospecting part goes in. You know what I mean? And actually let them prospect longer than a day. You know what I mean? Let them go through this shit 6 months, a year, or whatever. You know what I mean? Because you don't know. You can't be fake for a year straight. You can't be fake for 6 months. You know what I mean? If you're around somebody all the time, no matter how fake that they try to be from the beginning, the fakeness always comes out later on. And that's when that's when you actually figure out what this person is really about. What are they actually made of? You know, are they just talking shit, or is he actually the real deal?
Oh, it's just like that deal, you know, at mile 600 when it's fucking raining and 42 fucking degrees, that's when we find out what the fuck you're actually made of. I got a question for both you guys. Either one could go first. I don't care. What do you feel about guys that leave a motorcycle club, an MC? They leave and then they try to start like an RC or an association so they don't have to go through, they feel like they don't have to go through any propers. They're just going to, hey, I'm going to start this thing called Fast Harleys Only, and we're going to do whatever the fuck we want. We don't have to do any of the propers and we don't got to file protocols because we're just an MA or we're a fucking RC. What do you think about that?
Okay, since you said Fast Harleys Only, I can tell you.
For an example.
The funny thing is, somebody from Georgia called me last week and was telling me, or was asking me, why is this dude on the radio or whatever on the podcast talking about all this stuff when he don't ride his bike, he don't go to any motorcycle events unless there's 2,000 cops there. He don't do nothing in his own state. He's got to go to a whole other state by which to do this. And if this cat decided he wanted to start a MC, I would find now in that circumstance, I would find it laughable because one, you don't know anything about what being in a club is, like for real. You don't know what it is to actually prospect for real, you know? And Archbishop touched on it, but it goes back to, in my opinion about that, if the guy is a solid individual, because I've seen it, where a solid individual who was solid as all get out, well respected in the community, who was a probate, prospect, however, did that thing properly, mastered it, was a good brother to his club, and for one reason or another, and went through the proper channels to do it and say, hey, I got a vision of such and such. I have seen that process work and work very successfully. I've seen it right here in the state of Florida, and man, and with the one I'm thinking of is a club called Arawak. They are solid as all get out, right? Now, flip side of the coin, I've also seen some dudes where they were a part of some RC, never was a Proby for 20 minutes, let alone a year or so, never, right? And his whole idea was, hey, I want to do my own thing, without actually knowing what this MC thing is about. I think it's laughable. It's laughable. I've seen it before. So I think it really depends on who are we talking about, because some guys I saw. In fact, I sent it to you, Archbishop. A guy made a post the other day saying there's a lot of these guys wouldn't be a member of the club at all unless y'all let him be the president. And I was like, wow. Remember that? And that's the thing. So it's like, hey, if you're the president of a club, or you'll be in the club. But if you're not the president of the club, then let me leave and go start a club so I can be the president of that shit show of an organization. So it goes back to, depends on who we're talking about. I think there are those circumstances where, hey, it's a good move where someone decides to do it, they can do it properly, consistent with the traditions and protocol of the MC community. Have at it, go for it, like go with God, like they used to say, all that's good. But for these clowns that's out here, if you was a clown when you was in the club, and then you're probably still a clown now. You don't start a club and all of a sudden just get bestowed with the best MC traditions and values just because you decided to start a club so you can be the president. But but that's just me. I'm funny acting that way. But
Now my answer is, I'm gonna give you now part of what Bone said, like, it depends on the individuals that's actually doing it, is one thing. Now, they don't, just because they started a RC does not make them unscathed. They still got to deal with this. So if you wearing anything on back here, you gonna deal with me. Whether you are RC or MM, VC, MC, don't make no difference.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Right. You gonna still deal with me, because there still has to be some kind of recognition for you to even be out here. You know what I mean? So you can go ahead and throw your little fancy little Skittle colors on your back, and you can ride around here. And you may ride around for a couple months until I see you, but then when I do, then guess what? Then I'm gonna take them, and they're gonna be sitting in my clubhouse hanging upside down, and you're gonna be butthurt because you done spent your money on some shit, and that's exactly what it's gonna be. It's some shit. So, a lot of people that try that, you need to make sure that, like Bone was saying, if it was somebody that actually came from a club that was actually genuine, that actually came in the right way, he had everything put together, like the organization part, the bylaws, stuff like that. And where you can look at it and see, like, okay, this man's on point about what he's trying to do. Then you wouldn't have a problem with, like, okay, we'll go ahead and let you do that. But when you got somebody that, once you start doing your little vetting and investigating who this dude is, and then you find out that he's one of these guys that don't like authority, that wants to just do stuff his way. He does this, he does this, he's prone for being a knucklehead. He's basically a smuckatelli. So so what I mean? So with him, you're gonna tell him, hell no. I mean, if you couldn't cut it in this, what makes you think I'm gonna let you do this?
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts. No, facts. That was a great question.
Well, I mean, it kind of ties into everything we're talking about, because I have seen a handful of guys. In fact, I know a guy who left a motorcycle association to start a social club, because apparently the motorcycle association was too hardcore. He had to start a social club where they only wear t-shirts. It's like, dude, why? You know what I mean? Like, why? I had a guy come up to me literally 2 weeks ago and was asking me about starting a club. I said, how many guys you got? Well, it's me and my cousin. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Why? Why do you feel the need? You need to start a whole thing because two of you want to ride together. Just go riding with your goddamn cousin, dude.
Right. There you go. Well, because Hank, my uncle from Mayans, He's my uncle on my sister's nephew's next door neighbor's side of the family. But Hank told me that when he started Mayans, it was just him and El Padrino. And I said, well, how did you do that? I said, you know, the MC set, the rules, the bylaws, the traditions. He said, man, we don't need no stinking traditions. No, I'm just kidding. All right, I made that up. I might have fibbed a little
All right.
Hank is not my relative. I lied.
Oh,
Well, we're
man.
kind of running crazy on time here. So I got one last question. And, you know, feel free to answer it however you guys want. And by the way, I respect the shit out of you guys for coming on our podcast. You don't have to. You take the time, and I don't want to chew up any more of your time. I know you guys are always doing things, and I appreciate you being on. But people are going to wonder what you guys are talking about on the Big Boneyard. What kind of topics do you guys tackle?
Wow. Woo. We're all over the place. Not in a bad way, but I mean, the biggest thing about us is we try to introduce subjects that relate to the biker lifestyle. See, so what I did there? But no, for real, it's about, we talk about, hey, guess what? Sometimes you got to get on your motorcycle and ride it, because, you know, this is biker shit. A lot of times we rarely start on time because we're actually out doing biker shit. But we talk about protocol. We talk about different situations that might come up. We talk about the tradition, which we're big on tradition, protocol, education. And we feel like if we can point folks in the right direction and kind of, you know, learn them up a little something. And don't get me wrong, it's not entertaining, or excuse me, it's not that it's not entertaining, it's definitely entertaining. It's not boring. We have a lot of fun doing it, but yeah, we tackle some subjects that people want to know. We talk about stuff that a lot of folks aren't, meaning like what happens if, you know, what if you get approached by these guys, which these guys might be like us, right? What's the best way to interact? If you're trying to accomplish a certain something, if you're trying to, what's the reasons behind joining a motorcycle club? What's some reasons not to? What's different circumstances? How do you be a good chapter president? How do you, you know, it's like a great how-to / here's what the hell really goes on. And the thing that I love about us is we're putting out information that anybody should have, but we don't talk about none of the stuff that you don't need to know or that nobody needs to know. Because like, you know, we're quick with, hey, you know what? I'm sorry you didn't like the answer, but fuck your feelings. You know, too bad. You know, this ain't for you. And that's another thing. We make it real clear that this biker thing, whilst there's people that admire it and all like that, this is not for everybody. You know, this is not for the faint of heart. This is just because you see somebody do it don't mean that you need to. You know, but we don't do that in such a fashion where we're running folks off. We're just keeping it 100, you know, and if you like what we got to say, then, you know, if you want, like my brother likes to say, if you want it straight with no chaser, you know, fuck with the Big Boneyard. We're going to give it to you straight, no fucking chaser. If you want some watered down shit, yeah, FHO, you know, Big Cell got you covered.
You know, to add on to what Big Bone was saying, you know, if just to sum it up, the MC world is based on 4 things, and that's protocol, tradition, customs, and culture. You put them 4 together, and that's what each club should be about. A lot of times we get into conversations where you ever been in a club meeting and you sat in this club meeting for 2, 3, 4 hours, and then you leave the club meeting. As soon as you leave the meeting, you call somebody on the phone and was like, hey man, why are they talking about this? Or why did they not talk about that? This is the stuff that we're talking about. This is we're going to answer the questions that you should have asked in the meeting, but don't. We're going to talk about brotherhood and why this brotherhood is important. We're going to talk about you know, the rules and the protocols and the traditions and why it's been passed down throughout these years, and why is it now that it's, even though this is a new generation, it's kind of one of them deals where you have a new school problem, but you got to use old school mentality to deal with those problems. That's a lot of stuff that we're doing, because a lot of the traditions and stuff like that has kind of fallen to the wayside. People have been, you got them starting these clubs and whatnot, and they just going for what they know, not because that's what it is. So a lot of the stuff that we put out there is a lot of the stuff that if you're in a club and you had a question, and this is some stuff that you've been pondering in your mind, and you didn't really want to bring it up because you didn't want to start nothing, or you wanted to have some closure on this, or wanted a little bit more information on this, then during the time you can get on there and you can type out what you want to ask that question on. We can see it right then and answer it, or you can call in and we can put you on there live and answer your question. But we're trying to get this old school knowledge back out, hoping that it encapsulates what's going on now and kind of bring this motorcycle culture back to the way it used to be and function the way it used to be.
Right. Absolutely.
Right on, man.
That's it. And I'll throw this out real quick too. One of the things I like that we do is we've got some pretty interesting guests that they come on to either just jump on a certain subject that we're talking about, or some folks that people need to hear from. Like we had a brother by the name of Hood who wrote a great book a couple of years ago called Cross Country and the Bullshit with It. And so he came on the show, chopped it up, answered a lot of questions. The show went way long because there was so many people who were engaged and so many people who had read the book who wanted to talk to this guy and hear what he had to say. We've got another biker who's an author, well respected throughout the MC community, by the name of Prophet. Prophet's on tonight. We're starting about 7 p.m. But Prophet's going to be on tonight, and he's real knowledgeable about this MC tradition, the Mick culture. What's his face? Priest calls it, from Sucker Free MC, calls it the MCULTURE, Mick culture. But yeah, he's real knowledgeable about this stuff. So, we have these great guests that come on, they really add something to the conversations that we have. But it's going good, man. I think the result that we were looking for, we're getting that, and maybe a little bit extra. It's a lot of folks following us and they're getting something out of it. We get a lot of feedback from these folks that don't just watch a show, but then we hear from them later on saying, hey, that thing that you told me, that was good because this came up in the clubhouse last weekend and we were able to do this and we made this change and here's what's great. I was in Minot, North Dakota in July, or I think it was July, in Minot, North Dakota, and ran into this club. It was real cool. They had a motorcycle waiting for me and everything. But I was talking to this club. I'll go outside, and I'll keep this real short. I go outside, and I hear the road captain say, okay, well, who's ready to go and who needs gas? And I know that they had been waiting about 45 minutes or an hour. That was when they were supposed to be doing KSU, kickstands up, getting ready to go. It's an hour later almost. And he goes, all right, who needs gas? And more than half the hands go up, I need gas. And they break out into a conversation about where the closest gas station was. And I thought, I started laughing. I thought they were joking. They were dead ass serious. So I had to point out, like, wow. I'm like, he goes, oh, well, what's going on, big bro? I'm like, well, on my side of the fence, if the road captain says it's time to go, it's time to go. And you didn't talk about a fine, nobody's getting dinged, nothing. Like, you told them where the gas station was. I was shocked and amazed. I'm like, so it was like a little thing that before I left town a couple of days later, they had changed the policy. He asked me some questions about it later on, asked me some questions. I told him, hey, look, here's how we do. That's us. You don't got to do it, but here's how we get down. And before I left, this dude had hit up folks $125 worth of fines because he said, hey, next time we say it's time to go, that don't mean it's time to start thinking about getting gas in your bike or, screw around with your girlfriend or whatever. That means it's time to go. Mm-hmm. And and he started dinging people. I was like, wow, like I wasn't trying to, make people kick out. In his case, said $25 fines. I'm like, wow, okay, that was pretty interesting. But that's a thing that's just so very, very normal to us. But as a cultural thing, a road captain has certain jobs. He had no idea what his duties were as a road captain. And that was like, depending on your club, that's one of them. When it's time to go, it's time to go. And it sounds like a little simple thing, but there's 100 other things like that come out on this show that people tell me they implemented or they learned from. And Archbishop, I know he gets the same exact thing. So the big payoff for us is that we feel like we're helping the culture. We're kind of pointing folks in the right direction, and they've got a listening ear, somebody they can communicate with. Sometimes folks don't even want to talk to their own brothers about things because they don't want to, like Archbishop said, because of any number of reasons. They might be embarrassed to ask the question, they didn't want to ask it, or they forgot to ask it while they was in church. Then guess what? Every week, get at us, let us know. We're going to do our best.
Well, right on, man. Go ahead, Dirty.
Well, I was going to say, where can people watch the show at?
We're on YouTube, and we're still figuring out the simulcast, but we know you can on the COC's website. It goes there, WFL COC on Facebook, or on it's a couple places on Facebook, I guess, but also YouTube. YouTube is great because you can just hit the search thing, go the Big Boneyard. Boneyard is one word, so it's the Big Boneyard in one word on YouTube. We usually go about 7 p.m. every Sunday, but if to see the live show, but you can catch any of the older episodes. So if you go there, definitely, subscribe, like, share. Let me do that commercial shit there. Hey, make sure you subscribe, like, share, and comment and all like that. But it helps.
Hit that notification bell.
Yeah, hit that notification bell. Let me impersonate another. Hold on. Let me do. This is somebody else. I ain't gonna say who it is. Yo, make sure you smash that notification bell.
Oh shit,
we know who that is.
We just got ghosted. Anyways,
I ain't trying to start shit. I'm just kidding.
You guys on Instagram?
It's a couple of guys. Yeah. On Instagram, I think both of us are on Instagram. Mine is Bone OFFO. I think on Instagram, I think it's Bone OFFO on like everything. But in Archbishop, what's yours is what on Instagram?
It's Archbishop Bosanotra on Instagram, and then on Facebook it's just Archbishop.
Oh, but hey, the what you call it? There's the Facebook page is the Big Boneyard on Facebook. We have our own Facebook page. Thanks to Archbishop and his 1,700 female followers. This dude, hey, man, hey, chicks digging, man. I'm just saying, chicks digging.
Well, I mean, look at the guy.
Yeah,
he's a right sexy man.
Oh.
Yeah, we recommend you watch this episode on YouTube. I'm just saying, don't listen to it on Spotify. Watch it on
That's
YouTube.
right. That's right. Well, we'll get all your links, man, and we'll put them out there. We'll put the master link on this one when we send it out tomorrow.
Right on, brothers.
And Bone, always a pleasure, man. I mean, we've been on, we did the Black Dragon thing there for a bit, and you've been on the show before, and we've gone back and forth personally on text and shit, man. It's always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Man, same here, brother. Thank you.
Oh shit, I gotta mention real quick that story you had about breaking down and that guy coming up talking about how he was there just to make sure that you didn't get dead.
I love
that. Was the best story.
That was the best story ever had, man.
That was in Cartersville, Georgia. Georgia.
Quake. Yep.
Yep.
I love that story, man. We might just grab that one out and throw it out as a little vignette. It's worth it, man. It is.
Green Mile motherfucker. Big Green Mile looking motherfucker.
Oh, and Arch, man, a pleasure to meet you.
Good times, man.
Hopefully I can get up your way and hang with you guys.
Right on.
See how it
goes.
Anytime. I'm down.
If you guys want us to be a guest on your podcast, all you gotta do is ask, and we'd be more than happy.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's do it.
Tank, you're still in town, right?
I'm in Bradenton until end of April, so yeah.
Okay, well, shit. Oh man, we definitely gonna hook up then. Shit.
Right on.
Like soon.
Yeah. Let's get through the holidays first.
Oh yeah. Because look, next time, look, Tate's gonna fuck around and start fucking with me and Archbishop. The next time you see him on the show, he's like, "Hey, is this?" He's gonna be all fucked up, and I'm gonna blame Archbishop. You know, you're gonna have stripper
Like
best
always.
friend.
Oh boy, that's not the first time that's happened. All right, man. Well, we're running long on time here, but thanks, guys. It was really good to have you on the show. We'll do yours. We started something really good here today. So thanks everybody for tuning in, checking us out, and keep in mind, everybody, most dangerous part on your motorcycle is the nut that connects the seat to the handlebars. Peace.
Right on. That's it.
I see her rolling up, Uber black Cadillac, high heel boots and a sexy body full of tats. Baby's bad, oh baby's hella bad. After her there ain't no coming back. Wanna take a run at that. I think she's feeling me, turn it up a few degrees. My imagination of her body gets the best of me. Oh gosh, she's such a tease, bitten lips, bruised knees. I'm addicted to her, need her touching me. Cause she got a bad little waist, and we tearing down this place off the liquor that we chase. Casamigos to the face, baby, I don't need no space. Coming closer for a taste, and I'll show you how I make everything just fade away. Cause she's like sex, drugs, coke,